Hey everyone, Joshua Kirk here with you once again. Now it's time for episode 147 of Album of the Day, in which I'm here wearing my green R2-D2 t-shirt in honor of St. Patrick's Day for this review. For today's review, I'm gonna, go back to 2016 a little bit here. And I'm talking about, sort of a folky kind of, singer-songwriter, who, I'm kind of just now discovering, at this moment. Right now. I don't really know a whole lot about him, so my knowledge of him isn't necessarily the best, necessarily. So, just, be aware of that, for anyone who's watching this, who's probably a fan of this artist or something like that. Just be aware, I don't really know a whole lot about him, so, but, still, nonetheless, still gonna review his, new record here. The artist I'm talking about is McCombs, sort of a kind of like indie folk sort of singer-songwriter pretty much, but never really started listening to him till now, towards 2016, 2017, with this new album, and his first to be released on indie label Records, released in August of 2016, and the album is called Mangy Love. As you can see, I have the vinyl of it right here. Well, you can see, that's the album cover, just a picture of him, nothing too interesting there, but, it's good enough for this. And then there's the back, some really cool artwork on there, and, there's 12 songs on it. It's a pretty long record, it's over an hour long, and also it shows, there's a list there of all the musicians that played on the record, and it's produced by McCombs, as well as Dan Horn, who plays bass throughout the record, and Rob Schnapf, who's a pretty legendary, producer, pretty much, has worked with the likes of, Beck, and has worked with the likes of, Beck, and with, Dave Grohl on the first Foo Fighters album, and Elliott Smith on his last two records finished when he was alive, and, and he actually also produced, the Dr. Dog album, Shame Shame, as well, which is, their first album on Anti. Anyway, these are all the lyrics here, and, of course, the liner notes, and, personnel for, every song. Which, and I love gatefolds. This album has a really nice gatefold with all the lyrics in it, without it, it just, isn't really that fair, in my opinion, because, there's some albums that, for whatever reason, today don't have a gatefold. But what's even cooler is the color of vinyl that I have this on. I have it on, some blue vinyl, pretty much, which is really cool. Side A, and then side B. First time in a little while I'm reviewing a record that I have on vinyl since, I did my review of the new Angel Olsen record, and that was a vinyl. Which, really good album. Made it into number 23 on my top 50 albums of 2016. If you go check out that list video that I did. And then here's the other one. Makes sense it's on 2 vinyl, since this is a pretty long album to have, so it'd be too much to fit on just one vinyl. There's side C, and then there's side D. Yeah, so that's my vinyl copy of Mangy Love, the new album from Cass McCombs. And I bought this at Soundgarden in Fells Point, you know, in Baltimore. Yeah, this is really cool record / CD store that, you know, you should definitely go to if you're in the Fells Point area. Yeah, so of course, you know, I don't necessarily have the best of knowledge of Cass McCombs, but you know, I was hearing some people saying this record was really good. Like, a few critics put it on their top 50 list for 2016, and you know, apparently Patterson Hood of one of my favorite bands, Drive By Truckers, really liked this record, because if you go to the Brooklyn Vegan website and look up his list, Cass McCombs' Mangy Love certainly is on there. It's like his top 10 or something like that. So I was like, all right, you know, I'll go check out this record due to some of this peer pressure. And I'm so glad that I gave it a listen, because this is a great album. Like, you know, just definitely one of the best indie folk, like, singer-songwriter kind of records of the year, for sure. It definitely goes in kind of the Americana category, and, you know, you could probably put it under the, and it definitely goes into, and you could definitely put it in the indie rock category in there. Like, Pitchfork actually has this record, like, on their top 20 best rock albums of 2016. So, yeah, it could be classified as a rock record, too. But, like, it's really just the lavish sounds and production on this thing, as well as, like, Cass McCombs' very just, you know, diverse and versatile vocal abilities, pretty much, as well as, you know, the poetic and actually kind of dark at times lyrics, like especially if you'll like on the opening track, Bum Bum Bum, beautiful track to open the record. Really like the, you know, very kind of, you know, love the very soothing sort of streams of guitars and, you know, cool and really kind of cool, like, you know, soothing electric piano in there, but then it also definitely has very distinctive touches, a synthesizer to give it a little more, you know, unusual flavor, which, you know, really does work. Like, the title may sound like kind of just a simple, upbeat song with a, you know, really catchy chorus, but really it's a pretty, like, you know, but really it's a very kind of heartbreaking, very kind of, you know, quiet ballad, sort of, you know, with very dark lyrics, sort of, you know, there's a little bit of a political angle to the lyrics here, like, you know, talk about, like, you know, violence and stuff like that, and just, you know, and, you know, and McCombs sort of makes these definitely pretty, you know, morbid vignettes, sort of, you know, sort of relating to, you know, the, like the terrible things kind of surrounding him. Like, including, there's like a, like the second, like, bridge on the song sort of, you know, mentions, like, you know, him, you know, sitting up in his bed and, you know, and hearing a woman scream and then seeing, like, a man, like, you know, lying dead, pretty much, and he kind of wonders, you know, how long until this river of blood congeals, but it's just, you know, it's a pretty heartbreaking and pretty sad, gut-wrenching song about death, but, you know, it's definitely a beautiful way to open a record, and kind of a challenging way to open a record, too, because it's not the typical 3-minute, catchy, you know, pop song that you would typically get. I like kind of the diversity in the songs, pretty much, in terms of, you know, it may be kind of stylistically, you know, varied, you know, for some who may have heard of, who may have heard Cass McCombs' music before, but, you know, that doesn't mean, there's definitely plenty of diversity in it, too, you know. right after the pretty mournful ballad at the beginning, we get the almost visceral and kind of, more in your face track, Rancid Girl, with, lyrics that, maybe a little, not really sure what that song is exactly about, but, just really like kind of, the visceral attitude, like, that he brings to that track with the kind of punky guitars, and guitars, as well as, kind of edgy lyrics on here, like, I think I'll go to Louisiana just to hang myself, and self and stuff like that. Yeah, and he definitely, and he's definitely got kind of a, and then he also does bring a little bit of attitude to, like, the vocal, on the song too, and, so I think it's kind of interesting. It opens up with, just a guitar and a voice provided by Mike Gordon, so it sounds like it could be another acoustic ballad, but then it comes in, almost this kind of punky indie folk song, which I think is interesting. The next song on here, Laughter's the Best Medicine, is, a track that, definitely does see a little bit of inventiveness to the lyrics here, like sort of a, almost kind of meditative song, lyrically and musically a little bit, sort of, medicine, which, you may know Laughter is the Best Medicine as a legendary quote from people like, like Dr. Patch Adams or something like that. But, like, on here, it's sort of, so it's sort of a song sort of reflecting on kind of, kind of the meditation of, of a taste of your own medicine and stuff like that. And it does feature, spoken word bits from a medicine expert, Rev Goat Carson, which I think is quite interesting. I also love the instrumentation on this song. The twangy guitars and the horn section on here too. The fluttering woodwinds, the kind of weird keyboards. Also, not to mention, there's some pretty badass use of a jaw harp on there too. As well as kind of, the weird warped guitars on the track towards the end. Like, it's kind of a weird track, but, it definitely really works. After that, you get the really achingly beautiful ballad, the song Opposite House, which, which, has just some of the most poetic lyrics on the entire record. Like, I could tell from listening to this that Cass definitely does have quite a, has a skill when it comes to his poetry, that's for sure. He sort of uses, like, this, opposite house kind of thing of, like, the ceiling on the floor and the floor of the refrigerator, like, as kind of like, a metaphor for kind of, sort of how he kind of feels a little bit like, an outsider, and he's kind of, and he kind of feels like he's kind of, hiding something from other people, and he just kind of wonders, why does it rain inside? And, like, just really beautiful lyrics on the track, but also, like, musically really nice. Nice with the twangy guitars, as well as some swelling mellotron strings, and also features some very beautiful harmony vocals from Angel Olsen on here too, which I think her vocals actually do add quite a bit to the song, and and that's kind of a sign how amazing of a year it's been for Angel Olsen, like in terms of like her guest appearances and her newest record, My Woman, being such a great record. The following song, Medusa's Outhouse, is sort of a is sort of another song, that seems to be kind of, maybe one of the weirder tracks on the record. lyrically, musically a little bit, but definitely also beautiful as well. Like, I like how Cass McCombs really does bring a lot of variety into his vocal performances here, like using his falsetto as like an instrument on here, really distinctively here. So yeah, so I really liked that about it. And this song sort of seems to, be sort of mentioning, sort of, brings up pretty poetic imagery of like, of like music to forget the little strings and like, undressing in the theater or rayon wings and stuff like that. And then also like, the instrumentation on here is nice, like the slide guitar, and there's like use of a harmonium providing a nice drone to the song too, and then also like the strange little bits of synthesizer to kind of so it kind of is a record that pretty much pushes boundaries for typical folk music. I will admit, pretty much. Next song following that, one of my absolute favorite tracks on here, "Low Flyin' Bird," especially vocal wise, is just incredible how he just changes from tone, especially when he gets into that chorus and hits those high notes, is just incredible, and just makes the lyrics and like the instrumentation, especially in that chorus, just that much more cathartic, which I really do like that. Some more dancey tunes do sort of follow, like once you get into the back half of the record, starting with the song "Cry," which has a bit of an 80s kind of new wave feel to it, but also definitely has distinctive elements to kind of differentiate itself from that, including like I like the distinctive use of like there's like tambura drones going on, so it kind of reminds me of Indian music a little bit, with like the drones and stuff like that. And a similar thing happens towards the middle of Opposite House too. And also and also kind of a groovy bass and drum sort of rhythm going on the track too, and also like I love the kind of and also like some really kind of like quirky and kind of off kilter keyboard effects on the song that I really like a lot too. And also like this is a and also this song seems to have maybe a little bit of a like this song definitely does seem to have a bit of a political angle to it as well. Especially in that verse, "You're lost for the search of Agartha. You're lost up your own ass. Lost in the oil rainbows, purple shine. Lost in bad poetry. Lost in logic. Lost in a racist bourgeois town." And then following that, there's the song "Run Sister Run," another one of my favorite tracks here. Which one of the catchiest songs in the entire record. Run, sister, run, sister, run, sister, run, sister, run. Love that chorus. Some awesome bongo work on the track too, and also like the twangy guitar and keyboard lines, as well as kind of the funky use of a clavinet will definitely pull you in as well. But like its lyrics are definitely pretty, are definitely one of the more explicitly political songs on the record. Like sort of talking a little bit about racism and whatnot, and and using all these like symbolic metaphors, like the highest authority on Cheese Whiz hiding behind a Supreme Court urinal is like kind of a metaphor for like kind of issues in, modern politics with, like, racism and, stuff like that. So it's it's definitely one song. You may get this where, you might not realize really what the song is about till, like, maybe the third or fourth time you listen to it, just because, it's, like, just so catchy to kind of counterbalance that really well, I would say. And, so, and next, the shortest song on the record, the song In a Chinese Alley, which, definitely has a bit of a dancey 80s new wave feel to it, but definitely, has enough distinctive elements to make it sound like something that is, like, really nicely, like, crisply, like a modern recording, pretty much. He definitely sort of has the ability to, tell a story on here, with, story, like, on here, like, in a Chinese alley in February, I found a frozen girl naked under ice. I like her. He's, and, like, mentioning how, she has, like, a handmade tattoo of a straight line, and, how you gotta make your own music from inside a Chinese box, pretty much. Like, it's definitely, like, the shortest song on the record. It's, like, 3 minutes, because, like, it is 12 songs, like, maybe a typical studio record, but, like, a lot of them are pretty long. Like, some of them are, like, are, like, a lot of them are, like, on the 4-5 minute mark, pretty much, as well as a couple on the 6 minute sort of line, too. But following that, probably my favorite song on the record is the song It. Like, he's just so fearless with the things he just the things he says lyrically on this track. Like, like in that first verse, it is not wealth to have more than others. It is not peace when others are in pain. And also in the second verse, it is not victory to murder thousands in battle. It is not health to take vitamins and exercise. So definitely another song that seems to be, kind of, like a political protest song as well. And he just, he just does a good job of sort of, he's like fearless enough to, like, pretty much, admit those things in song, pretty much. It's something that I think few political songs in 2016 have managed to do, I think. And it may not have led the world to be a better place, but yeah, it did sound amazing through a set of speakers with the vocals, the lyrics, and the really just epic instrumentation, as well as, he's joined by opera singers on this track, and they just really added so much to the track, so, like, on paper it may sound a little over the top and kind of, kind of grand, and maybe a little grand, but, but trust me, it really works. And, in my opinion, without the opera singing, the song would definitely be lacking that extra bit of oomph. So, like, Cass just killed it with this track, so it's no wonder, this song actually made it into Taylor Goldsmith of Dawes' top 5 songs of 2016, like, in Rolling Stone magazine. The song Switch following that, probably kind of a weaker moment for me on this record. The funky instrumentation of the guitars and keyboards I thought was pretty good. But I would say lyrically it's probably not as memorable or as poetic as much of this record is, even though I think the chorus is kind of catchy, and, like, that one towards the end is, is, like, okay as well. But, it does close out with the, with the hauntingly beautiful I'm a Shoe, like, the longest song on the record, 6 minutes long, but trust me, it stays very, very engaging throughout its long runtime. Just a kind of a haunting, almost kind of bluesy kind of, folk track, and definitely one of the more sparse, definitely the most kind of sparse and raw songs on the entire record, as the song sounds as if it was recorded live in a room with like him, another guitar player, a bass player, and a drummer, and not much overdubs, pretty much. So it's got kind of this rough, raggedy kind of sound to it that I really like a lot. And again, it is another pretty gut-wrenching song, dealing with death. Dealing with death a little bit when he said when he's. I mean, it does. The opening lyric of the song is, "Well, goodbye, God. Going to Bodie, am I? Going to Bodie, looking for a good time." And beautiful guitar solo in the middle, and yeah, it's definitely it's a bit of a challenge. He opens up with a song about death, and then closes out with a song about death. So that's that's definitely kind of a challenge to do a lot of the time, but but in this case it really works. So yeah, just from front to back, this record is fantastic, and if I had checked out this album maybe a little earlier, it would have definitely made it into my top 50 of 2016, because it is just so amazing. I'm definitely, I'll have to check out more of his stuff. But yeah, this record, if I heard anybody say this is possibly his best work to date, I wouldn't be surprised, because of this album's greatness. So yeah, I'm definitely giving this album an 8 out of 10 for sure. Kind of a strong one at that. Yeah, and at that pretty much. And yeah, not much more I can say about it, except definitely give it a listen. Anyway, that's my review for the new Cass McCombs album, Mangy Love. I'll see you for episode 148.